Tuesday, May 11th, right?
Yep.
We're here for Yoga Flow. So, you all at home sit comfortably. Same thing here. You know, use blankets and how you need.
I forgot to turn the back on.
Okay, take your time. So use blankets however you need. Let yourself release up in through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders soften down. Close your eyes gently. And then just feel your breath. You know, even with our masks on, we can feel the coolness of the breath coming in through the nose. Feel a bit of warmer breath through the nose as you exhale. Letting your face relax and let go through your jaw. And then start to move in little circles with your torso. So letting yourself just start to ease your way into these little circles. Letting your exhales bring you forward. Your inhales bring you back. And you know you're welcome to get bigger and bigger. You can stay small if you like. Starting to link your movement with your breath. Ready to reverse your directions here, you stop where it feels good so that you can just move off in the other direction. Finish off so that you come to sit back upright. So you stop where it feels good and then head up from there. And release your arms on out beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now clasp your hands and just squeeze your palms together. Feel the action up through the arms into your biceps, into your shoulders. And then start to press out into the heels of the hands, straight forward of your chest. So let yourself just press out and feel your wrists there. And then just bend your right elbow and kind of pull back a little bit. Just like you're trying to pull your right elbow back behind you. And then just press forward again into the heels of the hands. And we'll go the other side. Your left elbow bends and then it kind of reaches and you're like using your left hand to pull your right arm a little over. So there's a bit of a twist going on there. And then come on back into center here. Good. And then from here, let yourself bring your hands back together in front of your chest. We're going to inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings. We're going to come on forward into a seated forward bend. So you choose. You know, maybe you want to go 2 inches, right? Maybe it feels good to go farther. Keep that back long. Imagine leading from the low back. And then, of course, once you get there, if you want to go ahead and let your head hang, round a little into your upper back. Just paying attention to how you feel in your hips and in your back. Feel the breath coming in and going out. And then come up enough to walk over towards your left and see if you can bring yourself out over that left thigh. Again, how far you go is up to you. If you can, lengthen your right arm and kind of stay up on your fingertips on that right hand, and get a little bit more in the sideways. And then we'll come on back through center and we're going to walk over to the other side. So again, it's up to you how far you go. And then again, if you can come to your fingertips of your left hand, maybe even let it reach a little farther away so you get a little more length through that left side. And then we'll come on back. We're going to walk back into center again. And let's walk ourselves on back up. Bringing your hands on behind you and opening through the chest here. Whether you put your hands flat on the floor or come to fingertips or drape your arms over the back of the chair. Letting yourself open up through the front body here. Good. And then we're going to release and we're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged on the floor. So bring your other leg in front there. And then from here, come forward again just a little bit or as much as you choose so that just even out your hips by coming into that bit of a forward bend. And this time, keep your hands at center, and you might even want to stay up a little bit higher so that you can shift your torso and your shoulders over one way, but your hands don't move. And then you come back through center and shift the other way. Kind of go at your own timing, go back and forth, and it's almost like a gentle little swaying motion. Good. And then we'll come on back again into center. And let's walk our hands on back up. And this time, if you're on the floor, bring your hands behind you and let your feet come to the floor here where you have your feet a little bit wider. And then we're going to let our knees come from one side to the other. So inhale when your knees come up and exhale when they come over to the side. And just open up a little bit here in the thighs a little bit and let the hips release here in the back. Good. And then we'll finish off from there. Stretch your legs out long for a second. Move through your ankles and your feet a little bit. Shake them out. Bounce if you want to bounce. Be really easy with your ankles, your feet, and your legs. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees when you're ready. So take your time. If you feel like you need a blanket underneath your knees, or if you need to be up off of your knees, feel free to put your hands up higher and stand up, right? Or come to fists. Or be on your forearms for cat-cow. You know, if your wrists really bother you, it's fine to come down and get lower so that you can move through your back easily without stress into your hands and your wrists. So start to move through your cat-cows. Enjoy feeling the tailbone initiate. Use your breath. Remember, traditionally, yes, it's usually taught to exhale when you drop into your cat pose and inhale when you move back through to cow, but it is also taught the total opposite, so feel free to breathe how it feels kind of natural to you. And then we'll finish off. Come back to neutral spine. And let's send our right foot behind us. Curl the toes under and let yourself just open up the back of that right leg. Now engage your belly. Really press into that heel, but zip up your low belly. And then lift the leg up a little bit, but send it all the way over to the left. So across that left leg back there, and look back over your left shoulder, and you can see your foot back there. Press into the heel again. Let yourself come into opening the side waist. And then come on back to center with the foot on the floor like we were, toes curled under. And then let your left lower leg be like a kickstand. Send it backwards a little bit. Shift to your left hand and bring your right hand to your right hip. Stretch that right arm up if you choose. And you can even let that right foot come off the floor if you want. Coming into a little side plank here. Now, if possible, lower your right arm down towards your head so the palm faces the floor and you have one long line down the side of the body. Long arm. Now turn to face the floor. Put your hand and your knee back down. And we're going to send the left foot back on the floor. Curl the toes under. And again, just press into that heel. Engage your belly a little bit. Let it feel really good to open the back of the leg there. And now, lift the leg up a little bit so you can send it to the right. Look over your right shoulder to look back at your foot back there. Press into the heel. Let yourself enjoy opening up through the left side of the body. And then bring the foot back behind you. Kickstand that right leg back a little bit. Shift to your right hand and bring your left hand to your left hip. Again, if you can stretch that arm straight up, do. And if you can lift the left foot off the floor, do. You can always keep the foot down if you want. Engage the belly. Now as the arm lowers and comes down closer to your head, turn the palm down towards the floor. Reach out through the whole side of the body there. Nice. Turn to look down. Put the hand back on the floor, the knee back on the floor. Shift back towards pose of a child. Let yourself release as best you can. You're more than welcome to bend your elbows and put your hands up on your upper back if that feels good. Or keep your arms soft overhead or bring them back alongside your legs. So let yourself breathe into the low back. Good. One more breath. Nice. And from here, we're going to come back to all fours and let's step our left foot forward and right foot stays back. Let's keep the right knee on the floor actually. Shift forward, come into that little back knee down lunge and press into the top of the right foot. And be mindful here, just don't go any further than feels good. Excuse me, to open up through the front of the right hip there. Let it feel really good, open. Good, and we're just going to switch. So bring the left knee back and right foot forward, and again, shift forward. Press into the top of the toes. Remember, if your wrist bothers you, you can come to fists. Some of you might even want to put your forearm up above your right knee there, your right forearm to support yourself, but just let it feel really good. Nice. And then from here, let's lift the back knee up, come into lunge briefly. And then let's switch and bring the right foot back and the left foot forward. And here we are in lunge with the left foot forward. Press the feet away from each other. Engage the belly. Good. And then we'll step forward and come into standing forward bend. Feet and hips distance apart and parallel. Let your knees bend. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Actually, let your hips shift a little bit forward and back. So you can feel when your sitting bones get back behind your heels. It almost feels like you're going to fall backwards, right? And then see if you can shift more of the balls of the feet, almost like you're going to lift your heels up, so there's not much weight in them. And then settle in to where you feel pretty equal there, between the balls of the feet, the heels. Sitting bones over your heels there. Knees can still be bent. You can come into straighter legs if you choose. And if you need support, use it. Elbows above the knees, hands on blocks. Feel very heavy-headed if you can, as long as it doesn't bother your back. And then let go of your face. One more breath here. And we'll let our hands come up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts, finding our mountain pose. So letting yourself find that sense, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Just feel like you're looking way, way out. And instead of looking down or up, right, you're just looking straight out to where the horizon would be. Let your hands be just barely touching if you can. This very light touch, but very connected at the fingers, the thumbs, whatever part of your palms touch. And then as we unfold our arms down beside us, we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bend our knees as we come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale bring your hands to your shins and lift you up into that long back, right? Keeping the back of your head in line with your spine. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge here. Press your feet away from each other. Really enjoy coming into that full lunge. And let's make our way into downward facing dog pose from here. So do what feels good, right? Finding your first dog, whether it means walking or bending your knees or letting yourself move around a little bit with your tail. Take your time, get your length of stance the way you want it. Elbows hugging gently in towards each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. Nice and strong. See if you can bend your left knee, let it come down to touch the floor without sinking into your pelvis. And then bring it back up. And then same thing with the other knee. Down to the floor, but keeping strong in the pelvis. And then bring it back up. Stay in your full plank for a breath. And then we'll lower down, so knees down if you want, or coming through that full push-up down to the floor. Sliding onto your forearms into a Sphinx pose. Elbows right there under the shoulders. Bringing your gaze between your hands. Opening up through the front body. Press gently into the top of the toes and feel your belly just gently drawing in. But try not to grip your buttocks, overly grip, right? We're going to come on back down. We're going to make our way back into down dog. So again, through that half or full push-up, or back to your hands and knees and back into down dog. Now think of your head in line with your spine and your dog. And really reach equally back through your sitting bones. Hug your elbows inward. Nice. We're going to bring the right foot forward to come into lunge, and whatever you need to do. Put the left knee down to get there. And then we'll come back into our standing forward bend. Feet underneath us. And you know, support if you need. If you like to bring your hands to your elbows, do, or put your hands somewhere else, like under your feet or behind your legs, or maybe you're better off to put your elbows right there above your knees to keep the low back supported. And now follow your breaths. In fact, just think the most important thing is just to be with your breath. And from here, we'll let our hands rise on back up to our hips. Bend our knees, coming on up to standing, and inhale the arms out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Bring your hands behind you. Clasp them here. And then, for a second, really deeply bend your elbows and squeeze your palms together, right? Unless it hurts your shoulders, right? And then from there, just send your hands on over to the right. If you can fold that forearm onto your low back, do. Squeeze your palms together there. And then let your right arm release and come all the way up overhead, and see if you can bend that elbow, maybe even reaching your hands towards each other on your back there. And if, you don't have to get your hands together, you don't even have to go far at all. You may not even want to be anywhere close, right? Be where you can. One more breath. And then unfold both arms on down beside you. Clasp your hands again, bend your elbows, squeeze your palms a little bit towards each other. And then move to the left with the hands. Again, maybe you can go all the way to folding that forearm, squeezing the palms together there. Forearm onto your low back. And then release your left arm down and rise it out and up overhead as much as your shoulder lets you. And again, this depends on you. When you bend that elbow, your hand might come more to the top of your head, right? The idea of the hands coming closer together on your back, just try to keep your gaze forward. Make sure you're not rounding here in the upper back, but feel like almost like you're leading with your chest. One more breath here. And then let your arms release on down behind you again. Clasp your hands. Inhale, let the hands come a little away. And on the exhale, let them come back down. One more time. Inhaling, letting your hands come away from you. On the exhale, let them come back down. This time, as you inhale, let the hands come away from you. And as you exhale, come on forward. Now, hands are off your back right here. You can stop as soon as you want to, parallel to the floor or higher, or you can keep traveling forward over your legs. And how far away your arms come away from you is up to your shoulders. You know that. So one more breath. And then release your arms on down. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long flat back. And we'll step our left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Nice. Let's come on out to plank. Let's do a little side plank. So we go to our left hand. Now, you can do the variation where you come on to putting your right foot on the floor in front of you as you shift onto your left hand, giving yourself a little support there, or you can do a full one. And then come on back into your full plank. We're going to go just to the other side. So you can do that full side plank if you choose, or you can lift that left foot up, put it in front of you on the floor just to give you a little bit more support. And then we'll come back again down into our plank. Take your time, stay in your plank, be nice and strong. Press the floor away from you equally with your hands. We're going to lower down. Again, if you want to put your knees down first, you can come down through a half plank or a full. And let's come into a little cobra. How big or little is up to you. Lifting gently here, just staying down low. Or if you continue to press up and press into your hands, remember to keep a little bend in the elbows. Let the elbows hug in towards the ribs. We're going to come on back into down dog from here. So take your time, moving your way back through into your downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit in your dog, slowly, right? Really slowly. Really appreciate the length of the leg that's long. Appreciate the calf, that stretch behind your knee. Your Achilles getting a nice release there. Come on back to your full dog, and we will bring our left foot forward and come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Right to your breaths. Fully, deeply feeling those ribs expanding in all directions when you inhale. Again, if you can keep your focus on your breath. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips and bend our knees. We're going to rise on up and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And exhale our hands down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose for a breath. Think about letting your breath lead you through these next two sun salutations. So releasing our arms on down, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale carry you forward. And let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. And let your inhale bring you to your plank. Your exhale will lower you down. Inhale into that cobra, and exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale, standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up to the top, and let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. Inhale. Exhale to your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Let your exhale lower you down. Inhale into your cobra. And exhale back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale. Exhale left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale standing forward bend. Bend the knees rising up to the top. And on the exhale we're going to come forward. Inhale, nice long back. And come into your down dog however you want to get there. So find your dog. Walk around a little bit with your tail wagging too, your head moving side to side. You can even look at your hands, make sure you're lined up there with your hands. Let your breath settle down. See if you can inhale your heels way up, and when you exhale, let your heels release back down towards the ground. So the inhales rise the heels up. The exhales lower them down. Good. Finish off the one you're on. And we're going to bring the left foot forward. Now find a lunge here, but we're going to be lifting up from this lunge. So you might want to widen it a little bit. You might even want to bend your back knee. You might want to bring your blocks there to give you a little support, because we're going to come up to that high lunge, that warrior one variation where your heel is off the floor. And if you can't come up and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get my balance here, then come back down, ground yourself. Maybe try a little bit different length of, or width of stance. And then let your hands come to your heart if you can get up there. If not, stay down with your hands. And then see if you can rise your arms up. See that? The pinkies are turning gently towards each other. Just enjoy opening through the front of the right hip. You're more than welcome to look up if you choose, finding a lift right at the base of your shoulder blades. Good. One more breath. And we're going to come forward. Bring your hands down to blocks to the floor. Find your lunge really well here. We're going to add a twist of choice. So either bringing your left hand to your left hip, rolling that shoulder up. You can keep your hand down or stretch your arm up. If you'd rather do twisted prayer, by all means do. You can bring your right elbow across to your left knee. Bring yourself into that twist. So lengthen through the top of the head. Reach back through your inner right heel. Beautiful. And then come on back down. From here, all we're going to do is straighten the left knee. Let the right heel descend directly behind your foot. So not a pyramid, just letting that heel go straight back. And then you're getting into the backs of both the legs. See if you can imagine extending your torso out over that inner front leg. So, blocks might feel better. And let yourself just enjoy releasing there into the backs of the legs. One more breath. And then bend that front knee. Come on back into lunge. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Walk to the tops of your toes a few times, at least a couple, so that you really stretch out your feet there. Good. And then when you're ready, you can move through for a vinyasa or kriya. You can come out for your plank. You can decide if you want to add a back bend or not. You don't even have to do this. You can stay in dog or put your knees down and rest. So you're on your own. You can come through for vinyasas or kriyas or not. Take your time, and then finish off and meet back in downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, again, do a couple of those, inhaling the heels way up and exhaling them down. Center in your dog pose here. Inhaling, heels rising, exhaling down. Good. And then finish off. And we will bring our right foot forward this time for that lunge. Remember, you may want to separate your feet wider. You may want to grab your blocks. You may want to let yourself bend that left knee a little bit as you think of coming up. Maybe hands to the thigh. Maybe you want to stay with hands to the thigh or blocks. Maybe you want to bring your gaze forward. That's up to you. Adding the arms is also optional. Don't push it. Feel that openness through the front of the hip. Feeling the core of the body really working here. Feel free to keep your hands down if you need to, or put your heel into that warrior one, two. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down. And we're going to find lunge. Remember to add a twist. So you may want to adjust it a little bit from where you did to find that balance. Right hand to the right hip, or left elbow to the right knee if you want to do twisted prayer. And if your arm is there to rise up and that feels good, you can. I forgot to say on the other side, but some of you might even want to look up towards your hand and let the hand come back a little bit, which opens the chest, right? But that's optional too. So one more breath. And then we'll bring that hand on back down. We're going to straighten the front knee out. Let the left heel directly go behind your foot. Both legs are straight. You're extending your torso out over that inner right leg. And there's the backs of the legs. Pretty good. Probably feeling it fully in the back of the right leg. Maybe more in your calf with your left. Well, everybody's different. Good. So one more breath here. And then we're going to bend that front knee. We're going to come on back into down dog from here. So take your time, move into your down dog. And again, let yourself come on out for a plank if you can. Move through to a back bend, whatever way you choose to if you can. Now you can do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those, or you cannot do any of them, and you know that. You can put your knees down. You can decide to not do any back bend too, right? Move how you can. Good, we're going to finish off. We're going to meet back in down dog. Good, and we're going to take our time, get centered, feel your hands equal on the mat. And we're going to bring our left foot forward and come up for warrior 2. You might want both your blocks handy. Bringing yourself on into your warrior 2 stance, whatever length you want between your feet. Bend that left knee. Let it feel really easy, really good here. Let's bring our hands to our heart and let yourself just feel your shoulders very naturally. You're not drawing your left shoulder back to try to face the long edge of your mat. You're kind of facing towards a corner, right? So that your hips are facing this direction and your shoulders are too. And then just let your hands softly come to meet. Now from here, inhale the hands up, keep them together. And when you exhale, let them come back down to be right in front of your chest again. So you're just going to keep your hands together and inhale them up through the midline. And on the exhale, you're going to let them come back down. Just focusing on your breath. So inhaling, rising up one more time with the hands. And on the exhale, bringing them back down to the chest. And now from here, let your hands come to where you touch the tips of your middle fingers together and your palms are down. And you're just going to open your arms out from there into warrior 2 arms. Unfold them as you look out over the top of that left hand. Feel your feet pressing gently away from each other. Let's turn the left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. And on your exhale, come into your side angle, forearm to the thigh, swing the right arm on up into line with the right side of the body. Stay here for one breath. And then we're going back to warrior 2. Let your right arm lead you back up into your warrior 2 pose again. And then we'll turn the left palm up again. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. And on the exhale, coming down onto your left forearm, swinging that right arm on up and turning to open up into side angle. And let your right arm again carry you back to warrior 2. We're going to do that one more time. Inhaling, rising up with the left arm into your reverse warrior. And on your exhale, bringing that left forearm down, swinging the right arm up, and finding your extended side angle here. You know, if your shoulder bothers you, you can put your right hand down. You don't have to have it up. One more breath there. Slowly just turn to look at your left foot on the floor just for fun. Make sure you're kind of lined up there, and then bring your gaze back towards the long edge of your mat. And then see if you can turn to look up a little bit towards your hand. And then bring your gaze on back front. From here, turn back to look at the floor. Bring yourself down, kind of to a lunge, but we're just briefly, because we're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. So you might want your blocks to do that with you, or you might just want to walk your hands, adjust your stance, bend a knee at a time if you need to, both knees, whatever works. If you have any little quirks going on, do what you need to do. Turn your toes out a little bit too, and let your knees bend one at a time there so you get a little more into your different feeling in your hamstrings. And then once you get ready to get your feet more parallel again, bring them more parallel. And then just ease your way. If you need to bring blocks underneath your head or your forearms or your hands, do it. If you prefer to bring your hands back more towards between your feet, by all means do that. So let your arms go to a place where you don't have to think about them. You don't have to think about the upper body because it just feels so easy to release. And now those breaths in and out. Letting, if you can, the breaths become pretty close to the same length, your inhales and your exhales. You're really feeling like your inhales and exhales are equally important, which obviously they are, because you couldn't have one without the other, right? Good. One more breath. And now see if you can press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat wider, longer, I mean, with your feet. Feel your inner thighs melt their way behind you. And then we're going to walk back over to that left foot to come on back into lunge and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Optional, whatever you want to do here. You know, they don't have to be vinyasas or kriyas. You can put your knees down. You can lift legs up, open hips up. You can do side planks if you want. You can come into anything that feels good. Stretch or put your knees down and rest. So be mindful. Follow what your body needs to do. Good. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. Because this time we'll bring the right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So now you kind of have an idea what's coming. So have your blocks how you need them. Line up your heels again. Feel that bend of that right knee, really lining up that knee. And then again, bring your hands together in front of your chest. So again, you're kind of letting your shoulders be in line with your hips, which are turned at this little diagonal, right? So are your shoulders. Hands to the heart are going to inhale up the midline. And on the exhale, they're going to come right back down. Keeping the strength in the legs. Inhaling again up through the midline. And exhaling back down. And one more time, inhaling up through the midline. Really centering. And exhaling, hands coming back in front of your chest. And now get your palms to face down, let the tips of your middle fingers touch. So your elbows are kind of up. It's like you put your hands on a shelf. And as you unfold the arms, really think about turning to easily look out over the top of that right arm. Hand. Really feel the feet in the floor. Good. We're going to turn that right palm up, and we're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky into that reverse warrior. And on the exhale, come into side angle. Forearm to the thigh, letting that left arm swing on up into line. Stay a breath here. And now imagine your left arm bringing you back up into warrior two. Keep pressing the feet away from each other as you do. We're going to turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky again, reverse warrior. And on the exhale, come back onto that right forearm to the thigh, swinging the left arm up. Let yourself find your extended side angle here. Now let your left arm again bring you one more time back up into warrior two. And then we'll turn that right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach a little farther back if you can. And on your exhale, come on into that side angle again, this time to stay a little bit. So press into that right forearm. Try to turn your right palm up and spread your fingers. Feel really energetic through that hand. Feel that long diagonal line. Turn to look down at your foot for a second. And then let yourself turn your head to look towards the long edge of your mat. Now try looking up if you can. Maybe not at your hand. I mean, you might just want to look up a little at the ceiling, or you might decide, well, it'll be kind of fun to look all the way up at my hand. One more breath. Now look down again towards the floor. And then bring yourself down with that left arm. Find kind of a little lunge briefly, but we are going to walk around from this lunge into a wide-legged forward bend. Now once you start walking, get your feet set, keep walking to your left foot. I mean, you don't have to go all the way. You know that. Walk over to the left as far as you can go. Stay there and breathe. And then come on back to the center and walk over to the right, towards the right as far as you want to go. And stay there and breathe. Good. And then come on back into center with the hands and walk the hands out like you're doing a down dog. You can let your knees bend. Let your hands be wider than they are in your down dogs though. So their hands are farther apart. Hug your elbows in towards each other and see if you can let your heart melt down towards the ground a little bit. Good. And now walk the hands back under you, and you might want to block. We're going to have a couple of twists here, and maybe you may just want your hands on the floor. Lengthen your spine out, and then get your left hand pretty much under your shoulder, left shoulder. Bring your right hand to your right hip, and roll that right shoulder up. Keeping really solid there in your sacrum so you're level. You're not dropping into that left side. Press the feet away from each other. You're welcome to rise that right arm up if you want. And then come on back down. Right hand comes down, gives you the support. Left hand comes up to your hip, your low back as you roll that shoulder up. Press the feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. If you want to add the arm up top there, do. Enjoy. Inner thighs melting their way behind you. We're going to come on right back down into center. Bend your knees. Let your elbows rest above your knees for a second so you're pretty much in a squat there. Really stretching out through the hips and the low back. And then come to a place where you're comfortable to be. You know that. If you feel like you want support, use it. If you want to bring your hands towards between your feet and fully hang your torso there, by all means do. Everybody's different. Right? You got to find what feels really good for you. And just enjoy easy breaths. Evening out, inhales and exhales in length. Good, one more breath. And we are going to walk our hands back out so we can walk back to that right foot. Coming back to lunge. And final vinyasas. Once you get back into that down dog, whatever you want to do. You know, stay in dog if you want. Do hip openers if you want to. Just let yourself come through to what you need to do. Put your knees down and rest if you need to. And then we'll finish off. We'll meet back in down dog. And let's widen our feet on our mat once we're in dog and walk our hands back. And you can find whatever squat or form of squat feels good to you. Elbows above your knees and staying right there. If you like to turn your toes out and come down into a squat, because that's the way that you can keep your heels on the ground, and that really feels good in your hips and your low back. But, you know, be mindful. Don't do anything that bothers your hips or your knees. You can always use the wall behind you and sit back at the wall. And then we are going to have to get up from here. So, take your time. Let yourself get your feet underneath you. Hips distance apart and parallel. And then press into your feet equally. Rise yourself on up to standing. Inhale your arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale bring your hands down together in front of your heart. Feel the lightness in your head. First thing, just think, oh, my head is floating up there. And then you realize really that your whole body feels floaty, right? All the energy flowing through, you just feel light. You can feel your heart beating maybe. Be aware of your breath coming in and going out. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down and shake out however you need to. We're going to come to a wall with our mat. So, yeah, Tom, you might want to come this way. That way they have more room. You, Charmin's there. You can be here. You guys have room. Okay. So here we go. Oh, yes. Yes. Whatever you guys are comfortable with, I know. All right, so get your blocks. And let's do just a little bit of work more before we go into good stretchy feely things. So grab your blocks and let yourself come down so that when you put your right foot back to the wall for a warrior three, your toes are facing down, but more importantly, your left leg is in the right leg. Your post leg is in the right place underneath. You don't want that foot forward of you, that angle. You also don't want the foot too behind you where you have that kind of angle in your leg. So it's like that exact spot where you feel like, oh, that feels good. And then drop your head and look back at your right toes back there. You should be able to see them when you draw your chin towards your chest. You don't want the foot up so high you can't see it. Right? Because you want that heel directly back from your right sitting bone. Toes are facing down. Now, start to work a little bit. Bend both your knees for a second. You can be on fists, remember, whatever helps your hands. And then come into a little bit straighter legs and press into that right foot on the wall. Imagine you're trying to draw it up towards the ceiling isometrically. And then see about if your left hand wants to just float on up to your chest. Or maybe it wants to come to your thigh, right? You can always put it on your thigh. That can give you some different support. Or you can reach it forward if you want. And then bring your left hand back to your left hip and roll your left shoulder up. And you can put your hand palm down onto your low back there. Remember, if you have to bend the knees, it's fine. Either knee or both, right? And then come on back, both hands down for a second. Imagine you want to lift both hands up. And if that's just all you want to do is imagine it, do it. If you want to do it, do it. Bringing hands to the heart if you want. And then we're going to come down. Just be sure not to fall on your face. We're going to switch legs. So put your left foot back, which is a huge relief, right? Now get that alignment. Look at your toes. Good. Supporting leg right underneath you. Again, knees can be bent. It's fine. You're still getting really good work for your hamstrings in this pose. And then push into that foot on the wall. Imagine you're drawing it up towards the ceiling. So that's work right there. No? So right hand can come up to your thigh. You might want to put your right hand just on your chest. You might want to reach it forward. Just let yourself keep working as much as you can. So when you push into that foot, imagine you're zipping up your low belly too. Hello. And then bring your hand back, right hand to your hip. And start to roll the right shoulder up. If you can put your right palm down on your sacrum, trying to stay level there, do. Push into the wall, it helps you. Lengthen out through the top of the head. Think about the space in your spine right here. And then bring your hand on back down. Now, if you want to lift both hands, go for it. You can bring both hands up to your heart if you choose or not. And if you've had entirely enough of this, bring that foot down. And again, go into your squat of choice. And you know, really, the wall is back here. And it is great to come into just like this. So if that feels good, you can to release. Good. We are going to head down to put our toes back to the wall behind us. So you can come down and come into child's pose for a bit here to release again, right? If you weren't already in child's pose, which a lot of you were. And then just take your time, you know, if you want to support your head with your hands, do. If you want to bring your arms back alongside your legs, whatever works. And then reach your arms long overhead. Spread your fingers nice and wide so that when you come up to all fours, you check out your hands. You see that they're equal on the mat. Curl your toes under and reach back into that down dog with your heels up the wall. If you don't feel like your hands are in the right place, then come down and readjust. And if anybody wants to send the right foot up the wall, keeping the toes curled under. If you're like, there's no way I'm on my wrists like this, go on down and come onto your forearms. So if you'd rather work on your forearms and knees, you can switch legs whenever you want if you're doing the one leg up. But just remember, you can work on forearms instead of being on your hands if it bothers your wrists. And then you come down and rest however you need to when you're ready to rest too. Bless you. My allergies as well are going insane. So breathe, and when you're resting, breathe. If you decide you want to go up again, you can go up differently. You can walk both feet up the wall. You can practice a little bit on your forearm stand or your handstand. Or you can sit and rest, or come into child's pose and rest. Good. And remember, sometimes just going up 2 or 3 times can be really a good thing to do. It feels different each time. I guess it's a little like weightlifting, in that you repeat so that you come into a little bit more, right? Yourself if you're not already resting. Rest how you need for a couple of breaths, whether you're sitting up or you're in child's pose. And we all have a wall here. So, see if you can. You might want a blanket to sit on, but let yourself come to sit closer to the wall back here. Stretch your legs out in front of you for a second and move through your feet and your ankles. And now, we're going to come into just a little bit of a cow face with our legs, but an eagle wrap with our arms. So we can do a half cow face. You can decide, let's all put right leg long at first and bring our left leg over. Now we all know not everybody can wrap a thigh over a thigh. It's just not in the body for some of us. So if instead you can do this, you can just sit with your leg crossed a little bit here. Some of you may want to fold the bottom leg up under you so the left leg's on top, and get yourself into your legs here where they're both bent, right? When you do this, you're kind of attempting to get your knees lined up, but it's not necessary that they are. It's whatever feels the most releasing. And if this all feels like terrible, just sit cross-legged with your left leg in front, right? So do the one that works for you. One leg long is the half cow face. Bending both knees is the full one. And then kind of sit up tall so you feel the wall behind you at your back. Let it feel good. Feel the wall supporting you. Now the back of your head might not touch the wall. It depends on how your shoulders are built. So don't force your head back, especially if this happens with your chin, right? So you want the top of the head to reach upward. You're feeling the backs of your shoulders on the wall. And now rise your arms on up and out and see if you can bring your right arm on top of your left. You can give yourself a hug. You can slide to that half eagle arms wrap by sliding the back of the left hand to the outside of your right elbow. Or you can come into your full wrap, right? Just be mindful, let it feel good. Breathing in and out through your nose. Now this is optional. Some of you may want to lean away from the wall a little bit forward. Now, everybody's back is different. Don't go any farther than you choose. I mean, if you want to go all the way down to if you're an eagle arm wrap and eagle legs, you might even want to put your elbows on your knee there, that top knee. Now your sit bones aren't on the floor anymore. You're not trying to do that. You're actually reaching back behind you because your back is lengthened. It's actually pretty amazing shoulder and hip release at the same time. One more breath. And now when you come up, be mindful as you rise back up to the wall with your back, and then unwind your arms at first, and then unwind your legs. So you're stretching your legs out and move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. We're going to go the other side. All right. So left leg is long. Is this the other side? Yes. Right leg comes over. And again, you can be in the half cow face. You can do more of a figure four. You can fold this bottom leg up under you. And you know, the interesting thing about cow face legs, usually one side is a lot different than the other. So you're like, wow, what happened here? The more you do it, the more even your hips get. So take your time, and again, you know, if you're in the full cow face legs, I love to put my hands on my feet and just feel connected there so that the feet and the hands touch. But if you're sitting cross-legged, that's harder to do. And obviously, you only have one foot there. You can maybe touch the one foot with one hand. And then as you feel your arms float on out, we're going to bring the left arm on top of the right. And again, give yourself a hug. Slide to the half wrap if you want. Right hand to the back, outside of the left elbow there. Stay hugging if you'd rather, or come into your full wrap. And let the wall help you here at first. It feels really good to feel the support of the wall. Imagine you're reaching down with your tailbone, maybe even a little behind yourself with your tailbone, so that you're not tightening up your low back and your hamstrings by curling the tailbone under you. Now, if you come forward, it's that same thing. The tailbone starts to kind of reach back on a diagonal line, right? And so do the sitting bones. They come off the floor if you're in that full cow face, especially if you bring your elbows down to your knee there. And just breathe. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to slowly come up, and we're going to undo our arms once we get up there. We're going to undo our legs. We're going to stretch our legs out and move through a little bit. Shake them out. And we're going to come on down onto our backs on the floor. But before you go down, have your blocks handy right there so you can reach them, okay? So let yourself come on down to your back on the floor and have your blocks right there. And bring your knees in, release your back when you get down there, however feels comfortable for you. Let it feel good. Knees side to side, or circle, or happy baby if you want to, or Baddha Konasana if that feels good to bring the soles of the feet together. Just play a little bit. Just feel really good. And then we're going to bring ourselves down with our feet to the floor. Set up for bridge pose. Reach down and get a block. All right? Unless you are totally opposed and you know that you doing supported bridge doesn't work for you. Okay? If you can lift up to a block or two blocks, or either the lowest height of one block or the middle height of one block, or if you want to be higher, you got to do 2 blocks rather than the highest height, because we're going to move a little bit and you don't want to fall off of them, right? So you want to be stable. So you've got it right there on your sacrum, block or blocks, and you're really able to feel your tailbone reaching down just a little bit. There's that natural curve in your low back. Good, and then we're going to bring our knees up so our feet are off the floor. And then we're going to stretch our right leg long. And we're going to start to lower the right leg down towards the floor. Now, you don't want to change your pelvis. So you might not go all the way heel to the floor, or you might if you keep your belly working, keeping the low back and the belly working there. When you get as far as you want to go, bring that knee on back in towards the other one, and we're going to switch legs. So all you're going to do is exhale one leg at a time down towards the ground. Now, if it feels really good to you to go all the way, put the heel on the floor and stay there for a breath to open up the front of that hip of the leg you're using, go right ahead and do it. But if you want to continuously go with a leg at a time, do. So this is really core work, belly, low back. So there's not this kind of popping up and down of the pelvis, right? It is very solidified. Another way that you can do these, if you really want to work a little bit up on the block like this, is to keep both your knees bent and do like you're walking steps. One heel comes down towards the ground, and then you just switch and the other heel. So the knees stay bent. And that's actually really good work too, you know. You can play with that one if you like that one more than the legs going along. Or you can go, oh, good grief, no, I don't want to do any of this. You can rest, put your feet on the floor, bring your knees into your chest. And of course, the hardest one is double legs, which for me, I don't go very far because, man, oh man, you try to lower both those legs down long and it is work. So, take your time, finish off whatever you're playing with, and then bring your feet to the floor, bend your knees. See if you can go ahead and lift off the block into a little bridge pose. You know, you can lift up and go back down. You can lift up, take the block out if you're done with, you don't want to come on the block anymore. You might even want to clasp your hands underneath you in your bridge pose, if your shoulders let you do that. Good. And then we're going to release all the way down. Separate your feet wider on your mat. Arms out beside you and let your knees come on down to the left towards the ground. Right? Now, as you let them stay there, you may decide putting your left foot up on the outside of your right knee feels good. Maybe not. Maybe you're like, what feels good about that? So don't do it. And we are going to come back through center, put our feet down, come back to and over to the other side. So again, when you get to the right side with the knees, if the right foot feels good, to pick it up and put it on the outside just above your left knee. That weight can just be amazing on releasing through the left side waist. Or it might mean that it doesn't feel good. When you're ready to put your feet down, come on back. Let your body do just what it needs from now on, right? So you may feel like a happy baby pose, again, might be in order, or a Baddha Konasana. You might want to do another kind of a twist here. Another hip release. You can do that figure 4 right here so that you release your hips that way. Might be something entirely, you might want to do a plow pose. Who knows? You might want to do any kind of movement or stretch that feels good to you, because we all feel differently after a series of yoga poses. That's why every class is, has you feeling a different way. I'm going to start to get some lights. So don't get up. I will certainly bring you anything that appeals to you once you start to settle in. So if there's an idea, and you also know you can turn around and put your legs up the wall if you choose to. With a bolster or a blanket, remember underneath the back of your head. If your neck feels a little stiff, if your shoulders feel a little stiff, sometimes just changing where you have your arms and how you turn your hands can make a difference. So if the hands need to turn palms up, or maybe you feel better to put your hands on your belly. Just let yourself ease your way down into feeling that support of the ground. And you know, whatever helps you come into those quiet places. If counting your breaths helps you come back to the breath over and over, or a mantra, or a word that you think when you inhale, and different when you exhale. Just take your time. Give your body and your brain a chance to benefit here from all you just did. Just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. letting those breaths bring you back to wanting to move again. Fingers and toes, hands and feet. Becoming aware of things around you again and hearing the thunder. Where did that come from? But take your time and stretch if you need to stretch. Bring your knees in if that feels better. You know you're welcome to roll to either side if you are comfortable. To come into a soft fetal position, you can just enjoy being cradled by the floor a little bit longer. Nothing like lying on the floor. You probably don't take much time to do that at home. But when you feel okay to rise up, see if you can feel very floaty about it. Let it feel easy. Let yourself maintain that feeling of lightness in your head if you can, as your head gets to be up there on top again, above your heart. Feel the breath coming in and going out, and feel the breath coming into your belly. And let your next exhale bring your hands gently together there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Tuesday.
We do have a street.
We have a street.
I was shocked.
I'm so grateful. It was there yesterday. I mean, I never know.
Well,
I'm like, should
I thought to myself, one of these days, I'm gonna get a big surprise and there's gonna, oh, that's
Yeah.
great.